Welcome to the studio, everybody. It's time for ClayShare's Live at 5. This is our weekly live broadcast that is open and free to the public. Now we just wrapped up 4 amazing days of ClayShare Con, 42 broadcasts, so much information. You can go back and watch that if you go to clayshare.com and you go to classes and then scroll down, you'll see ClayShare Con and you can watch all of it and it's all there. There's a lot. So go check that out. But tonight we have Paula McCoy from Colors for Earth. She was with us during ClayShare Con. And you know, one great feature we have on ClayShare is you can actually search in the classes by author, meaning teacher. So if you love Paula, like I love Paula, and you want more of her, guess what? You can just search under her name and you can see all the demos that she's done with us. And she's done quite a few over the years. And I think you're going to love it. So tonight she has something very special planned. She has a brush stroke of luck, which is a very timely kind of St. Patrick's Day, but it's also great for springtime. So come learn how to do this beautiful surface decoration technique with Paula McCoy from Colors for Earth. So let's head down to Texas and give Paula a great big howdy. Hey, Paula, how you doing?
There, Jess, I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm here, and I'm so happy that you're here too.
Yeah. I think we're both barely standing, right?
Yeah, I'm good, but I am super happy that you're here with me tonight.
Yeah,
So what you got planned for us this evening?
So today we're going to do this little Shamrock mug, some basic brush strokes, but I hope I'm going to teach you a little trick for the little ones, which is pretty cool using a tool. So let me go ahead and put the camera down and get started. So I'm pretty sure Kevin has put the PDF underneath, and I love the new platform.
I know.
Go to the video and then right below it, it'll say if there's any attachments or anything. So this is out there for you. It's got the pattern. You can size it differently, showing you the mug that we're going to do. And I don't think it showed up on camera. Can you see the little hearts in the background?
Oh, I can see them. Yeah, that didn't.
So we're going to stencil those on just for something in the background, so you don't have to do my mush wash if you want to change it up and do it. And then we're going to, and I noticed I'm going to use a different mug today. It's going to be easier for you guys to see the whole thing. And you can flip the pattern either way, you know, whatever works for you. Okay. So be sure and take, you know, get those PDFs and use those, because that's really a great help with the patterns. And then here, so the mug I'm using is Mako stoneware mugs. And then this is on an earthenware tile. There is a little bit of a color change, but not too bad. So this is a little brighter. Your greens do deepen a little bit or brown a little bit. So keep that in mind. That's why I put both of those images on there for you so you can see the difference. And I want to real quickly, we did in the ClayShare Con, we did this stoneware plate. This is earthenware. There's not much difference in the color, because a lot of people will ask me that. How does, you know, it compare on the 2 different surfaces? So it's pretty darn close. So I thought that turned out really nice from the demo. Okay. All right. So first of all, let's talk about our tools, since we have time tonight and I'm not so rushed. I'm going to use, you can use any size of the stencil brushes. This is the number 16. There is a ClayShare set of brushes that I put together. It's got a liner, a couple of the stencil brushes, a mop, and I don't remember what the other one was. But anyway, so if you're just looking to kind of get started, that's a way to start. We're going to use a cleaning tool. So this one has the rounded in. Believe it or not, we're going to make those small little hearts with this tool. So hopefully this is the new trick that maybe some of you don't know about. And then you can use a number 4 round. I like the 5200 synthetic number 4. It comes in one of the brush kits that we sell. And then if you've got the 2000 number 4 Kolinsky, you can use that one also. And it really depends on the size of your pattern. Okay. And then we're going to use the liner, the 3600 liner. We also have a tool to make dots. This is considered a wipeout tool, but it's the RD66. It has a rubber tip, which is sometimes really nice against your surface so that you don't pull off color, but you can also use a stylus to make dots also. So this is a stoneware mug, like I said, by Mako. So what you need to do is take your pattern, lay your inexpensive tissue paper over it, and then with just a lead pencil, you're going to trace your pattern off. Okay. Then you're going to take that pattern over to your ware. And I've used this one. Look how many times I've done this, 2 different mugs, plates, and it's still good. So until it rips, you can use it. On the stoneware, you're going to lay that down and you're going to trace over your pencil lines with the Sharpie Ultrafine marker, only on stoneware. If you're transferring to earthenware, which is what this one is, this is just a plate that I got many, many years ago, you're going to use the Statler Tri-Plus Fine Liner. It's got a Sharpie type point to it, but it's a water-based marker. And I find it's better on earthenware. They're both going to burn off, but the Sharpie on earthenware can repel color if you paint larger than your lines. I always paint larger than my pattern. That's just something I've always done. So the Statler Tri-Plus on the earthenware, the Sharpie on stoneware. Okay. All right. Any questions about transferring? So you're just going to go.
No, yeah,
Okay.
everybody's saying hello. A lot of folks from
Hello,
Australia are
everyone.
here. Good morning, all of you
Awesome.
tuning in. This is a great way to start your day.
Absolutely. And ClayShare, you guys were awesome, and we are filling orders as quickly as possible. So remember, we're a small business like Jess, and it's going to take a little bit, but I am trying to keep up with most of them. Okay. All right. So then you can pick out a stencil. And I just use this little heart one. I've got a larger one that I've put here on this tile that I'm going to show you larger so you can see it, but I just use portions of it. So I just laid it, even on this curve, I just laid it down and did my stenciling. So, and I did it with, because a lot of people don't understand the opaque underglazes. So I'm going to use, let's talk about the concentrates first, because that's what everybody has. We're going to use 160 key lime, 161 green leaf, and 162 laurel. Okay. And we're not going to put anything with them, just straight out of the bottle. Always shake those bottles. They're thixotropic. So the more you shake it, it liquefies them and loosens them up, and you're going to get more out of that bottle than you think. You think it's empty and there's a bunch on the wall. But for the stenciling and for the rim and the band at the bottom on this one, I used CS 660 lime green. So this is the opaque underglaze. It has the same coloring that the 160 does, but it's in a different base. So this one has a touch of glaze or frit in it. So you would never want to put a color stroke in between like a teapot lid and a teapot itself. You don't want anything touching with this because you're going to fire those in place. Most of the time you're on bisque and you're going to fire them. So you don't want that on there because it will stick together, or it could stick to the bottom of your shelf. Okay, so that's the difference between the translucent and the opaque. This one has enough glaze in it that it can stick. Okay, but it's really nice to get a solid line. Can you get solid with the concentrates? Yes, you can, but it's more of a transparent solid versus a solid application. So I have put together a ClayShare kit that has 12 different colors in it, and I can show you that later. It's got some greens, some pinks, some purples. So I'm going to, on this large piece, I'm going to zoom in and show you how to stencil. And then I'll do it on the mug since we have plenty of time. Since this is a larger one, I'm going to go to, this is the size 18. These are synthetic nylon. So they have a flat bottom. Most of the stencil brushes out there are domed shape. And when you start trying to stencil, it gets up underneath the stencil itself and then it bleeds through. So that's what's nice about this one. You also need a blue shop towel. So I'm going to anchor that by my palette, and then I'm going to get out some of the 660. Once again, shake that really well. So this is the background, and then I'll use it for the rim and stuff. So I'm going to add just a little bit on the tip. See, it doesn't go up into the bristles. It's just on the very tip. I'm going to tap that in. I'm going to do it one more time. And then I'm going to my shop towel and I'm doing a circular motion. Now I'm going to test it on my piece. So I've got a stencil down here. I've taped it down with painter's tape. You want to circle to the right, circle to the left. And the reason you're circling both directions is because you want to get in every crevice on the right and the left. And then try to go to a new area on your paper, on your towel, because if you keep going in the same area, you're not removing some of that color. it'll be too damp. So see how and I'm not putting any pressure. Do you see there's hardly any pressure going down? And I'm just going to do, and you could do one color, and you can make it darker if you want, but let's take a look at this and see what we've got here. And this is new painter's tape, and naturally it's going to stick really, really well. But see that? So if you wanted some of you could go back with a second coat and it would make some of the areas darker. So that's how we're going to stencil. Okay. And the nice thing about doing it on this little plate, you could do it around the edges. I mean, there's all different places. So let's do that. Let me get a hold of this smaller one that I have. So just pick out a portion of it. Once again, tap it in, wipe off some of it, circle to the right, circle to the left. And you don't even have to catch all of it. Isn't that cute?
I love it.
It's just they say that in your designs, you should have 3 layers of your design. So that is one layer. And then you've got your, the 3 petals, and then you've got these other little additions. So you can go around and do that on that one. So I'm going to go over here to the mug. And I'm just going to lay it down. I'm not going to catch the edges where it would create that heart shape. I don't necessarily want that. I just want some of the hearts by itself. So I'm just going to anchor it down. If you don't feel comfortable, you could tape it down if you wanted, but see how they're just kind of floating? Isn't that cool? And then we're going to go, whoops, it moved just a little bit on me, and just catch it here and there. Now, do you see how that moved? I'm going to show you how to fix that. I'm going to grab my Sumi brush. I wet it and blotted, and then I'm just going to take my brush and swish it off, and I can just push it back towards there and it's fixed. Easy peasy. So you can have this going in all different directions. Just hold it down, load, tap, circle to the right, circle to the left, and you've got all different types. Like I said, you could put 2 colors on here, or you could just go back and add a second coat, and but it's kind of cool that it just floats around. I'm just going to put it around one of these, and then we'll move on to the other. I know I don't have to hurry as much because we got more time, but
yeah, we have more. What did you have, 30 minutes? And
yes,
you got like 50, so relax.
Right. So just keep loading it and keep going to a different spot on your towel. And I like the shop towels because they're more absorbent. They don't fuzz up as much. And I just think they are better for this particular technique. See how I'm just kind of letting it float? If you had an overall one, you could use, if you had a big square, you could do dots. I just thought the hearts were kind of cute for this particular design. Do we have any questions while I'm continuing?
Folks are asking, where can they get that type of stencil brush?
The stencil brush, you can get that on my website. So if you just type in stencil in the search bar, it'll bring up anything that has that. And less is more when you're searching. I think that's the same way on your website. You don't want to put a whole bunch of stuff in there, because if you don't have it exactly the way we list it, you're never going to find it. Right. So definitely less is more. So like I said, you can type in ClayShare, and that ClayShare brush kit will come up, and you may want to get the 2 stencil brushes that are in that, the mop, the liner, and that would be a good basic set if you don't have any of our brushes.
And the stencil you're using, is that from your website as well?
No, actually, this is terrible. This is Temu.
Okay.
So, but just type small heart stencil and let's see what comes up. I mean, there's tons of stuff out there. You can make your own on your Silhouette, Cricut. I don't have time to learn that Silhouette and Cricut, so I cheat and I buy. Are you that way? Because I'm tired of buying stuff and I never use it.
Sometimes I do, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of time where you're limited with the amount of time I have to make a stencil, and if I just got a bunch of cute mandala stencils that I bought that I could have made and used my Cricut, but I didn't.
Faster to buy them.
I saw them in the store. I was like, yeah, I'll take those, and I just grabbed them. So.
But see that? Isn't that cute? You could even take and put this has a flat handle. I did that on this one. I don't know if you can see those. it's hard for the light. It almost looks yellow, but there are some on the handle there too. So you could do the same thing. I would go to some of the smaller ones that are here and add, let's get some more on there. Circle to the right, circle to the left. That's your key. Maybe I want a great big one here. So this is the color stroke that I'm using. So I would not put it on the bottom of my piece unless you had a recessed foot, then you could do that. But I wouldn't, like I said, not on anything, lids and bottoms that are going to touch, because it's going to fuse together basically.
Question about that stencil. Is the back of it sticky or is it just smooth?
Nope, it's just smooth, but you could print it out on the vinyl if you wanted vinyl and do it that way too. I try to stay away from sticky stuff with product because I would have to fire that to make sure there was no sticky left on it personally. I don't feel comfortable putting glaze right over it. I'm afraid it would repel. Now, that may not, be that for everybody, but that's how I did it. Okay, I'm going to go back and I'm going to add just a little bit more to some of this. Circle to the right, circle to the left. I want you to see how just by adding it here and there, now you've got two-tone. Isn't that cool? So you could do that. You could even come in with one of the concentrates if you wanted it, especially on here. I can dip into the 160 key line and let's just add some just so you can see the difference. It's going to intensify when it fires, but in every layer you add, it's going to darken it. So even if it's the same color over and over and over, you're going to end up with a darker value of that color. Let's see that. Isn't that cool?
I like it just like that in the center. Like I can see it just in a plate and you just do a solid green rim or something and you just keep it green and white. Simple.
Yeah, and I'll show you some brush strokes on this on how I would finish that off. Okay. All right. So no more questions on stenciling. We're good on that?
We're good.
Okay. All right. So now I'm going to pick up the round brush. So this is a round. This is from one of the Zim sets of brushes that I carry. It's the 5200 Kolinsky synthetic round. So it has Kolinsky hairs and it has synthetic, makes it more affordable for us. Kolinsky hair is the highest grade of hair and it is quite expensive. And sometimes the bisque, I like to use, do brush work on green mark because it's not as hard on your brushes. The bisque is harder on your brushes, but if you take care of them, they will last forever. Okay. So I am going to start on this earthenware one just to kind of show you how I approach the hearts itself. Now, remember, one side of the heart has this grid work or line work. So it's kind of a Zentangle with some brush strokes, which is kind of, I thought it would just be fun. I'm going to put this here so that stays where you can see that. Let's move that a little bit. Okay. Hopefully that light isn't too bad. All right, so what you're going to do, you can load with a light and then tip into a dark. So if I load with the key line, I can also grab a little bit of the green leaf, the 161, and then just a smidge. You see that tip of that brush just barely has any of the dark on it. So I'm going to make a comma stroke. So that would be, and I got my pad out here so I can show you. So you would come in here and press down, pull, 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 down to the center, and then you can do another stroke and you see how those variegate through it. Then you would need to load again with all of those, or at least two of the colors. Start on the outside, press, pull, and lift. When you're doing a brush stroke is, this is on paper, so it's beating up there. A brush stroke is color. The amount of pressure determines the size of the stroke, and the motion, which way we turn it, and that is a brush stroke. Okay, so let's do one over here. So if you were doing just a comma stroke, it would be like that. Okay, so all we're doing is combining those together to create that heart shape in there. Okay. All right, so let's do it on our piece. I'm going to grab some 60. I loaded in the 160 tip or side load in the 161 and just a tiny bit of the dark green. The dark green goes a long ways. Okay. You don't need a whole lot of it. Okay. So I'm going to start up here at the top where it's larger, press down, pull, 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 start to lift the brush, lift, and turn it towards that center. And then I'm going to just drag what's there and pull some of that color out so that it's, I got a little bubble there. I'm not sure what that is. So that it's not too thick, because if you get your underglazes too thick, then it can pop on you. So I reloaded with all 3 colors, and I'm just going to here, because we got that grid work on the side. See that? Isn't that pretty? So you could do any combination, or, we're past Valentine's Day, but you could do pinks and red this way and just do hearts. You wouldn't have to do the shamrock, of course, but it'd be another way you could do just the hearts. Not sure what that is. All right, so I'm going to fully load, tip in the 161, and then tip a little bit into the dark. So press down, fan it out so that you get the nice large stroke, pull to the center, and then just kind of grab what's left there and pull it down so that you don't have a large ridge of color. Remember, these are translucent underglazes or transparent underglazes. They're not a glaze, they're an underglaze, a true underglaze. So you got to be careful not to get them too heavy, or they can bubble some of the darker colors, or they blister is another word for it, or they could eventually, they could crack and peel off. But see how you can just variegate all that down? Isn't that pretty? So
It creates really nice layers and depth within
and you
itself.
did it in a 1-stroke method. Yeah, that's what's nice about this. Because I do a lot of acrylic 1-stroke painting too, so that is kind of, but I've been doing these strokes for, gosh, I don't know, 35, 40 years. So I reload for each stroke. I did 2 strokes on that one, and then I'm going to go on the inside here, pull and lift to a point, and then just grab what's left and pull down. Isn't that pretty? So it just creates the variegation. You don't have to go back and add the shading. You're adding it as you go. So always load with the light and then tip into the darker color. That's my preference. So if Jess said she likes this tile the way it is, now see, it's too plain for me. So watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to work my magic, hopefully. All right, so let's just say I want a comma stroke up here. Okay, and now I'm going to go to the other side. This just gives you some decorating ideas if you don't want the shamrocks and you like the heart. And then we're going to pull down and come around this way. And let's pull some coming up from the bottom. So there's, just practice these strokes. And the best way to do that, I've got tons of brushstroke videos out there. You can go look at those and then just use like watercolors from the dollar store and get you some newsprint paper or a sketch pad and practice with that so that you're not wasting your product. At least you can get the motion down and be able to. Now this one, I'm going to go the opposite direction. See, I've got one coming in, one coming in. So this time I'm going to go out with my stroke. And I've just created a frame for this is all I've done. So press, pull, lift, 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 lift to a point. Any questions?
Well, folks want to know if you have any ceramic shows coming up in Texas.
I don't in Texas. I am going, I haven't been in 9 years to the Ohio show. It used to be in Dayton, it's in Hamilton, and I will be doing some of the same classes I did in Atlanta, and I will put that schedule up soon. I'm trying to get all your orders out first. That is the second weekend in April is when that is. Okay. So
And then there was, before
ahead.
you move on, let me just ask you this. Can you put this on a white raw glaze? So could you do like a Maiolica with this?
Absolutely. Just remember not to get too thick. If you were doing that, so some of the glazes might be gloss, some of them might be matte finish. If you would add the gloss medium to your colors and say you were on a matte glaze, then just this area that you paint is going to be a glossy finish, which is kind of cool. You just don't want to use it as an over coat of glaze, but you can put it with a color 50-50 and use it, or you can use it straight, but I'm afraid you're going to get too strong with the color and you'll could possibly have some issues. So I would personally mix it equal parts and do the technique on top of your white or a matte or whatever. And I actually picked up some of Mako's matte today that I'm going to test some things on because I know a lot of people use Mako. So I'm anxious to do that. Okay, so these little hearts, aren't they cute? We're going to use that
love 'em.
cleaning tool. Can you believe that? Crazy. You're saying what? I'll use the what instead of the wah like Jeff, right? Okay, so I'm going to take the back side, the curved side, okay? And I'm going to put the 61 on it. And then I'm going to tip into the 62. And let's hope it works the first time. Sometimes you got to kind of play with it. You're going to start at the point and I'm going to rock it back. So I'm going to start here and rock and lift. Oh, look at that. Is that cool?
It's really great.
And rock and back. And looky there, you got a heart. And that just tickles me.
That's so easy. Everybody could do it.
Exactly. You don't have to know those brush strokes like Paula, you know? That's the nice thing about it. So let's do another one here. And you do have to have quite a bit of product on there to get a nice little. Now you could use a brush stroke and do little pressure strokes if you wanted, but this is something that anybody can do. And I don't remember who showed me this. I did not come up with this myself. I don't take credit for things I'm not inventing, but isn't that the cutest? I just love that. So does everybody understand? You're just taking the color, load it with one, just grab a little bit of the other, and I'll show you from the side, is you're just rock, and it's the rock and roll, basically. You rock and you roll it back up. That's what you're doing. So rock and roll. Okay, so that's how those are created. All right, so let's go to our mug and do some more common strokes. Okay, so fully load, and just interrupt me if anybody's got any questions. Okay, so we're going to start at the top, and I feel like I have way too much of that dark green, so I'm going to tap a little bit off, press, pull, lift to the point, and then come in and drag the rest of that so that we don't have a ton of color on there, and then press, pull, and lift. Pull that, and then I need one in the middle here. So maybe one of those strokes I wasn't as large, and it doesn't matter how many strokes it takes you, as long as you do the stroke like I'm showing you. That's all that matters. Okay. Press, pull, and lift. So I've anchored myself with my pinky so that I'm able to move, because if you're down here like this, you can't move. And if you're too far down on the brush, you can't move. So usually a good place for most people is right where the ferrule, the silver part, meets the handle. That's a good place to hold your brush. There's
So
other go ahead.
I hate interrupting. I know you said to do so, but I don't like doing it.
That's okay.
Someone asked, can you paint on white glazed shop tiles and then reglaze and fire them in the kiln?
If I would do that, I would use the color stroke. Okay.
Okay.
Maybe if you add the gloss medium with it. I have not tried that in years. I mean, it's been a long time. Move something out of the way. I don't want to. Okay, I see what it did. I was like, don't change where I'm at. Looking at my system here. Okay, so fully loading the 60, tip into the 61, tip again into 62, which is the darker. Start at the larger end of the heart, press, pull, lift, and come off. Grab that excess and do the same stroke. If you see a buildup of color, just kind of brush it out. Just remember, these are translucent or transparent underglazes. So you're going to see every stroke that you make. So don't sit there and piddle, because you're going to see exactly what you're doing. Okay. It's not going to be opaque. It is translucent. So I reloaded, press, pull, and lift, and another one down the middle there. Isn't that pretty? So this is a Mako Stoneware latte mug. And then I think this one's called the Lisa mug, if I remember correctly. All right, so let's go over here and do this one. Repetition, you learn by seeing it done multiple times. So that's why I thought this would be good. press, pull, lift, 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 and pull in the excess. I can turn the side camera on if they would like to see the pressure, the amount of pressure. Sometimes that helps. So you guys put in the comments if you want to see it from the side view, if you think that would help you. Otherwise, I'm just continuing to load the same way for each stroke and then pulling in that second stroke to remove the excess product. Press, pull, and lift. Press, pull, and lift. So I'm always, my focus, my eye is right there at the middle, and that's where all my strokes are coming to. Did they want to see it on the side camera, or are we good with this?
No one has responded yet. So I guess we're
We'll
good.
just keep going then. Okay, so once again, press, pull, and lift. Remember, I told you that I don't stay in the lines. I guess I didn't stay in the lines when I was in school either. I always paint larger than what and that can be a problem sometimes. All right. Now you have the stroke down here at the stem. So now we're going to pull this direction and then we'll pull in the rest of it. So this is our same stroke, but we're going to curve it more. So I'm going to turn so that when I get ready to do this, I'm pulling this direction. So you have to stop and think about where you're going with the brush so that you know what angle and where to start with. So this is almost from left to right, but that's going to allow me, and I've got to be careful not to put my finger down in my product that's wet. So I'm going to press, pull, lift, 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 and just stop. And then I can come in with a liner, or you can come in with this brush and just continue. And you can also go back and start up here and bring it down. Okay.
We had a question. What do you
Okay.
do with your leftover paint in the palette?
I either use it on another piece. If it's your paint and you feel comfortable putting it back in your bottle, you can, but I don't. And even students at classes, they're like, well, I don't want to waste it. I don't want it. It's contaminated at that point. And can you see it's got different colors in there? So there's dark and the light, because I've not washed my brush. I just keep loading. So I would be very concerned about putting it back in the bottle. I would not do that. Now you could use press and seal over this. Get a piece of press and seal and press it. You've got flat edges on your palettes, and press it down, and then put it inside a Ziploc bag, and it might last for a couple of days. Press, pull, lift, and see, I can't go any further, so I have to stop. And then I can grab here and continue. I'm going to grab just a little bit of the dark, and I'm going to go up here and pull it down. And I can go back with the liner brush also. All right, so I'm going to wash this brush now. And always when I wash the brush, I go over to a towel and I just gently, don't take the brush in here and squeeze it, because what you're going to do is pull the hairs out. You're going to loosen that. Just gently wipe it off on the towel. And then if you see color, rinse it again and keep doing that till you get all the color out. Believe it or not, I don't wash my brushes other than that, unless I've just really overly worked something. That's all I do to it. But if you're going to wash them, use a good brush soap. Do not use Dawn. Dawn is nasty, and it's great for those duck feathers, but it's got a degreaser in it. And what's going to happen is it's going to loosen the glue. The hairs will come out. The handle could come off. So, and always lay your brushes flat to dry. Don't stand them up, in a container until they're completely dry, because once again, the water goes down into the ferrule and it can go into the wood, especially if it's a wood handle, and your lacquer that's on there will start to crack off and chip, and it doesn't look nice. Okay. All right, so let's do some more rock and roll hearts. So I'm going to load with the 61, grab a little bit of the 62, start at the point, and I'm going to rock it back and roll it forward. That one didn't have very much dark in it, so I'm going to grab some dark, rock, and roll. So it's kind of variegated, and that's fine. I'm good with that. And I'm not rinsing it off. I'm just constantly grabbing. So I'm going to rock and roll it forward, add some more, rock, and roll it forward. So you got 2 little hearts. Turn it around because you want the point of the cleaning tool towards your stem or at the point of the heart. Rock it back, roll it forward. You could do little 5-petal flowers with this. I mean, it's really cute. Years and years ago at one of my retreats, we did some of these. Now we also have some of those little hearts at the tip of the big heart. So mine kind of altered a little bit. I'm going to move my pattern. I'm going to pretend, and I'm going to move mine over just a little bit. I'm the rebel, I'm not going to do it exact because your brush has a mind of its own, and it just went a little bit off to one side more than what my pattern was. So don't let that freak you out. Rock and roll it forward. Rock and roll it forward. This might be one that I could show on the side camera that might help. Let's do the side. I'm going to move that out of the way, and that way you can kind of see okay, so I'm aiming towards the point. Can you see that there? Okay. So rock it back, roll it forward. Rock it back, roll it forward. You got to remember you got a handle here. So be, cautious on where you try to do these because you're going to get yourself in a spot that you can't do it. Okay. Let's go over here and do these. So we're going to rock and roll. Rock and roll. I'm loading each time. Rock and roll. Rock and roll. Turn it as you need to so that your point of the cleaning tool is always at the point of the heart. Rock and roll. I'm going to turn it. So rock it back, roll it forward. So there's no moving the tool. It's all just rocking and rolling. Rock and roll. Isn't that cool? Are you
It's
going to
so easy. And you could just use a single as a leaf. That's
Exactly. Yeah.
So many ideas.
Exactly. All right, let's go back to the overhead. So hopefully, if nothing else, the stenciling and maybe this, you're going to say, oh, I can't do that stroke that she did. And I'll show you another way that you could fill in the larger ones if you want. You can go back and do the 2 and 3 color blending that I've showed on a lot of different lives. I added 3 up here of little vines. So I'm going to do those real quick. Rock and roll. Any other questions?
So are we going to be able to, it's about the platform. Are you going to be able to like a comment or respond? Eventually, Penny, yes, but that's not available yet. They're working on that. So someone said they just got their colors for Earth order today from you, and they've already used some of the colors and the
Yay.
beautiful new brush.
Oh, which brush did they get?
No, maybe they'll tell us and we can
Tell me.
find
Now,
out.
see, I've got to be careful. I put one up here, but this is so close to the rim. I'm going to back this off a little bit because I know I can't get my hand in there. So those are your only restrictions. See, I touched here, so I had to move it down a little bit. So just try it with just water. I mean, there's, ways of testing things. Okay, so let me show you on paper. So, and I'll just do it with the dark color. So if you were going to do just a flower, so determine, what size your flower is going to be. I got tissue paper floating around. And then do the Y. I think I've showed this a few times. And then split those 2 sides in half. So now I've got a guide. If I want a flower petal here, you could start right on that line and press rock and roll. Turn it. Rock and roll. Look at that. Now, I usually do the Y first, and then I come back and fill in the sides just in case I'm off. Rock and roll. Is that amazing?
It's foolproof. So if you're watching and you're like, I can't paint, okay, don't paint. Just
Don't paint.
rock the tool.
So if you, and then you wanted leaves here. So this time you're going to the point of the leaf is on the outside, so go the opposite way to create your leaves. Of course, in a different color. You need to have different colors, but can you see that? Isn't that?
We can.
It's pretty foolproof. But test it, on a broken piece or on paper. Get familiar with the tool and how it's going to work and how you need to move it and stuff. And it's pretty awesome. Okay. All right. So then we're going to take the liner brush, the 3600 number 2 liner, my favorite liner. It's a Kolinsky liner, and I'm just going to grab some of that 61 and I'll grab some of the 62, put it in the center of my palette. And I've added a drop or two of water. I just went to my water basin and grabbed some with the brush. And I put it in there and get it worked up. And then what happens a lot of time, you see the little bubble on the brush? So you want to make sure you take that bubble off before you start, because that could just fall down on your piece. So I wipe that off, and then I'm just going to go back and load it. And I keep dragging it out and dragging it, because I'm coating the hairs. It's kind of like putting the shampoo in your own hair. You got to get it worked in there. It's going to go longer distance if it's full. Okay. Don't just load the tip of the brush. So many people, I see that they load half of the brush with the color and they wonder why they can't make a good stroke. It's because you didn't fully load the brush. You paid for all those hairs. You can use it all the way up, is my little thing that I tell everybody. And I know that sounds silly, but people remember it. So start from where it grows from. It's growing out of the center here. So I'm going to come and just outline that heart to start with. Just in case I didn't have a smooth edge, this is a good way to finish that off. And then I'm going to make that line, and you can press down to make a little bit fatter line and then go to skinny. And then I'm going to put a stem on that little heart. I'm also going to take and put some curly cues, and see, I didn't stay with my pattern, and that's okay. But did you see how I did that? Let me show you on paper again, because I think it's important. So the key is you want to make sure that when you go in, so you press down, but when you go into the curve of your curly cues or tendrils, you need to lift up on the brush. So there's less brush down. You're just on the tippy toes, and that's how you can make that curl. Okay. And that's something a lot of people, we do it as artists ourselves, and those are little things that sometimes we forget to tell you. Okay, so we need to add the stems to these guys. And they actually, what I did was I wrapped them around the big stem, so you could come over here and just curl it around to attach it. And they can go any which way they want. And then I'll show you how to do the hat pin strokes when we get done with this. Any questions?
So the answer was it was the mini Sumi brush. And then there was a question about the way you are loading it. When you're doing that, are the second and third dips on top of each other, or are they on each side of the brush? When you were doing the comma stroke.
The comma. Okay. So they are, let me see if I'll do it on paper. And also, in case you haven't seen any of my videos, these little knobs that are on your paint wells, if you'll set your brush there, it won't roll. Is that cool? So I can anchor my brush there and not lose my color that's in that until you hit it, like I just did. All right, so let's put some more color out and do that again so that you see it. So I fully load in the light, I tipped into the medium color, and then I tipped into the dark. So let me do the side camera. Let's go completely side. You get to see all my mess over there. All right, so here's my round brush. Let's move this out of the way. So I'm fully loading, and I'm going to move this so that you can see. So I'm fully loading in the light, shampooing that brush up. Then I shape it on the side so that I kind of pull the excess off so that I get a nice point to it. Okay. And then I tip into the second green. And then I tip into the third green. And then I'm going to press, pull, 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 lift, 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 so I can get a point. And then I grab the excess and brought it in. And then I went back and reloaded the same way again and start on the other side, press, pull, and lift. Press, pull, and lift. I don't have any of the two darker greens showing, so I'm going to go grab a little bit of that. And of course, on paper, it's a little bit different than it is going to be on your ceramics. Okay. So fully load in the light, tip generously into the medium green, and then tip on the point to the dark green so that you press, pull, and lift. Press, pull, and lift. So the more pressure, the fatter that stroke is going to be. Less pressure, it's a smaller stroke. And a common mistake, people, they take the brush over here and they draw it on with the tip. And they're like, well, how come I can't do it? Because you're not applying the pressure. You see how I press down? Let the brush do the work for you. Don't sit there and grab and just draw and draw and draw and draw, because that's what you're going to see is lines, unless that's what you want. You have to put enough pressure down on the brush so that it fans out, it grabs all those colors you've loaded on it, and then it drags them through each other so that you get the multiple. Okay, can you see all that? You get all those striations of color on there. Hopefully that helped.
I think it
Yes.
did.
Okay.
Yeah, I think your camera angle was fabulous on that too. Thank you.
Sometimes it's what's required. Yeah, that's why I did that. Especially with brush strokes, it just really makes a difference. All right, so I'm going to go back to my liner brush, and I'm going to go, I outlined this one. So now I'm going to create that outer area for my grid work. And see, I didn't even come all the way in. I wasn't on my pattern. I'm not worried about it. Okay, I'm going to pull in that stem. And let's do the curly Q. I'm going to tilt this so you can see it. So I'm going to press down, lift as I turn, lift, 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 and then I can press down and lift to a nice point. So it's all about the control and the pressure on the brush that's going to make the difference. Just practice doing that just on some paper. Like I said, with watercolor, you're not going to get exactly the same effect, but at least you're not wasting your product. Press down, lift, lift, lift as I'm turning to come in. Oh, and I forgot the other thing. There's a little curl inside here, which I forgot about because my pattern isn't there anymore. So just press and curl. Any other questions?
Well, you're doing it because there was asked if you could go over the curly Q again.
Yeah, we got more on the other side. We're gonna do it multiple. You know, I that's why when I design things, I do repetition, and I'm sure you're the same way, because if you see it done over and over, it's gonna finally stick. And we learn from seeing, doing, and then what we hear people say. That's so. Then you're gonna come in with your liner, and you're just gonna make your little lines. And you can space them however you want. But do you see I'm constantly turning my piece? And that's another thing. People leave it sitting still and they try to work at it backwards, and you can't get the same stroke. So you need to turn your piece, make it comfortable. Most of the time I'm pulling my brush strokes towards me. There are some strokes that go another way, but I would say 95% of the time I'm pulling towards myself. So I'm staying just on the tippy toes here because I want nice, fine little lines. If I wanted them thicker, I would put more pressure down or use a larger brush. You can accomplish that a couple of different ways. Okay. You can also come in and add a little bit of because I didn't use any black on this piece. Amazing. I'll probably give these mugs to my boys, being McCoy, you know, kind of the, I think that my oldest son just loved it when I sent it to him, the picture of it. So you can go back and just accent different areas if you want, if you want it a little darker. Okay, now we need to do these other little strokes that are out here. These are called hat pin strokes in the brushstroke world. Hat pin strokes. So I will show you that on paper first, because I think that really helps. You do need to make sure I'm going to go back into the thicker color, not necessarily the thinned. And I have a little bubble of color on there, so I'm going to wipe that off so that it doesn't affect my stroke. So let me do the pencil so you can see. So there's like 3s. So you're going to pull a fine line, and then I'm going to sit and lift, kind of like we did with the tool, which if you put just a small amount on the tool, you probably could do that. And then I'm going to come in here and sit and lift. I'll tilt this so you can drag on the tip, press and lift, and you get that fatter end. And if you don't have enough product on the brush, you can't get that little teardrop at the end. Press and lift. Drag, press, and lift straight up. I'm not turning, I'm not hooking the brush. It's all just, you can curve this and make it look different. So we're going to put one of these on our center here. So we're going to come up and then press and lift. See the difference on top of that color that makes? So drag on the tip, press and lift. Okay. So that's called a hat pin stroke. Now, do you have to do these? Absolutely not. Don't freak out. You could just, you can dumb it down, so to speak, as little as you want. It's up to you what you want to do.
I love them. I love those. Those
They're
need
just
to go on
fun,
everything.
yeah, kind of fun little doofer type things. And basically that stroke, if you just did the pressure stroke, that's a watermelon seed, a strawberry seed, same stroke. We're just putting it at the end of our line, which changes it. So drag on the tip, press and lift. Drag on the tip, press and lift. Drag, press and lift. We got a lot of these. So I'm going to keep working on these. If you have any questions, just holler them out.
So folks want to get your colors, there's PDF, so you can find out all the information which Paula's using. And that is below this broadcast on ClayShare.com. So if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, you don't get the PDF. Go to ClayShare.com. You can watch this broadcast. It's one of our Live at Fives, which are our free broadcasts. And under the chat, you'll see the Brushstroke of Luck PDF, which you can download, which has all your information in it. You can go to Paula's website, colorsforearth.com, and on her blog, she also has really great information. The PDF for this is there as well, correct, Paula?
I did put it up there just in case, because I know we're
just
still learning the new platform, and I thought I just don't want people to get frustrated, so I did put it up there for you. And I put a link to the broadcast on the page also.
Fabulous, fabulous. If you want to get these colors, you can purchase them and the brushes and many of the things Paula's using from her website. And you had a code during ClayShareCon. Is that still good?
It's still good till
you
the 15th.
That's good till the 15th. So there is a code. It is ClayShare 10, ClayShareCon 10, all lowercase. Oh, the spelling's wrong on the website.
Uh-oh.
Kevin did that. It's CLARESH. Kevin's gonna fix that. He's got a typo. We're gonna
pour Kevin under the bus.
Yeah, he messed it up, so he goes under the bus.
And the Prime members have their discount is still available also.
Yeah, so Prime members get a little better discount, and those are on clayshare.com in the community. If you click on that, you guys can see those codes. We also did an email to our premium members this last week with all the codes. So I believe it was Sunday, because some codes were expiring. We wanted them to get that. So
exactly.
Let's see. Well, we have 2 minutes left. Can you believe it?
Is that all?
That is,
really?
I know, it went so fast.
What happened?
Let me see if there's any more questions.
Okay.
So Susan added this to her favorites on ClayShare. Yes, you can click favorites and save this, and you can have it and go back and watch it over and over and over. Paula, do you ever put dewdrops on flowers? I'd like to know how to do that.
I haven't on ceramic. I have with acrylics. So let me work on that. That's more of a challenge. But yeah.
Okay. And Kevin's going to fix that code. He did fix it. Oh, wow. He's fast. So
see that? Isn't that just the cutest? So you can
I
play with
really love it.
yeah, you can play with the curly cues. I added these little guys up here and just do whatever your brush does. Sometimes you have no control.
Look
And
at that. Yeah, you just kind of so I love a curly cue. Um,
And
so
let me
I
show you
more the
another way.
merrier.
If you can't do the curl, just real quick, you can just take and just wiggle it, and it's fine, just like that. I mean, that's something simple. So, how much time we got? Do you want me to go back to me and answer any questions, or?
I have a spelling error on my magic water recipe. To be fair, Kevin put
Oh,
all of those recipes up and typed them all in. So if there's a spelling error, it is you're just calling for Kev out some more.
uh,
No.
oh no.
Yeah. So
Let me
all right,
real
got any?
quick. Yeah,
Yeah, go
but
ahead.
just real quick. Here is, they were asking about transfers too. So you're going to use the same products on top of so this is Bis Fired. And I've got a couple of videos out there and I'll do another one for you. But this is the concentrates on top of that underglaze transfer. And because they're translucent, you can still see the background through it. Isn't that cool? And I just
I
used the
love that.
ceruleans on that.
Yeah, you shared that in ClayShare Con, so
Yeah.
that was beautiful.
Okay. All right. We did it. Wow.
Oh, you did it. And we were thinking it would take so much, be so much more time, and it goes way too fast, doesn't it?
Yeah, other than I didn't show the rim or anything, but I've done rims and banding and stuff. So I think everybody's pretty familiar with that. So
All right. So if folks want to reach you, they can go to your website
they
and
can.
they can reach you that way. And you're on social media as,
Yep. Ceramics by Paula on Instagram, and then Paula McCoy on Facebook, because right now the company page won't let me do anything.
I
Thank
know, I
you,
know. You need to
Facebook.
do the official Colors for Earth. That's what you have to do
Oh,
is
there
start a
you
new
go.
page, the
There you go.
official, and
Okay.
then you get it back. All right. Thank you so much for a wonderful demonstration. As always, it has been a pleasure.
Thank you.
And we'll catch up in a bit. So
Okay. Thank you.
thanks, Paula.
So
All
another
right. So another
fabulous demonstration from Paula McCoy. She is a master brush artist. So if you want to learn brush strokes, she's the one to learn from. That is her expertise. And she has many videos here. She also has her own blog and videos there. So you can go check that out. Remember, that's colorsforearth.com. And the discount code that we have is being fixed. If you go to ClayShare Con info on ClayShare, you can see the discount codes. Some of them are still valid. Premium members, you have a little extra bonus for being a member. You get a little bit better discount, and that is still valid, and that is on clayshare.com under community. And we did email folks. So, all right, so we're gonna take a little break. Oh, by the way, can I just show these fabulous plates? This is one of Paula's tutorials. If you love this Aloha rooster, yes, I own this. She gave it to me. Isn't it beautiful? So she shows how to make this. So if you want to make this, you can. So if you love chickens and roosters, she has so many different tutorials. And then, of course, all of her beautiful colors fired at cone 5.5, basically 6. They would look the same. So you can see them there. I made a test plate. All right, so we're going to take a little break, and then I'm going to be back with a demonstration for our premium members. It's a class, actually, and it's a surface class. We're all on the surface right now, I know. We're going to move out of surface into making forms. Yeah. But right now we're still in the surface. So this is creating a layered surface. And we're going to talk a lot about creating your own language, your own lexicon, and creating artwork that reflects you. And here's a piece that I made earlier today. And I don't know if y'all can see it, if it's too bright. I don't know if y'all... Wait, go to camera 2. That should get you. So this is a very personal one to me. So I'm going to talk to you. We're going to do this. I'm going to show you how to layer different surface decoration techniques over each other using the Amico ceramic inks, although you don't have to, and I'll talk about that as well. You can use other companies' underglazes and products. But I'm mostly going to talk to you about finding your voice as an artist and finding things that represent you and what you are trying to say in your artwork. And I think that's a really important thing for folks. And I think a lot of people question it, and they're making beautiful artwork, but yet they want it to have more meaning to themselves, and finding that can be difficult. So I'm going to talk about that and give you all some ideas next in our primetime broadcast only for our premium members. If you're watching this and you're not a member yet, you can go sign up for our free 7-day trial and you can get tonight's class as part of it. And if you can't watch right away, guess what? We have replays of everything that you can watch later on. So we'll take a little break and I'll be back at 6:15 p.m. Eastern.